Hello, everyone. How you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today we're gonna start our season 3, which is a division that only I care about. That I only do on Spotify, so people on YouTube have no idea what that means. It means episode 101. Um, Start of our third year. Holy moly! What?
How in the hell? It's insane to think of. I was thinking about this today. Just 100 movies, like that's
It
that's
is
a
a
lot
lot.
of movies and shows. Just
Even more because there's episodes where we watch more than one movie.
yeah, there were more than a few double features.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember when we
we've
did
strayed away from that a little
Nosferatu and
bit, but
Joker 2 in the same episode? That was
that was such a weird double feature. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyway, to start off our third season, also forgive me with my hoarse voice. I am indeed my voice is hoarse. I'm sorry. Anyway, to start off our third season, episode 101, we're going to be talking about a very, very divisive film by Adam McKay, came out in 2021, which is Don't Look Up. A film that I did not like when I watched it as it came out, and I decided to give it a second chance. I was curious what I'd think, and I was curious what you would think, Evan, watching it. I don't think you watched it at the time, right? I think this is your first time watching.
Yeah, I remember when this came out, it was just one of those infamous Oscar movies.
Mm,
Every year has one or two of them that's nominated for Best Picture like that.
mm,
And I had heard as much about this. I'm not a huge fan of Adam McKay. I love The Big Short. I love Succession. Um, but I just didn't have any attachment to this. This is my first time watching it, but yeah.
yeah. So, what did you think?
I did not like it.
Hmm.
Just straight up. It it's a very fantastical film in terms of just I I'd like to say it's a satire or that it's a spoof of some kind.
It's absolutely satire, yeah.
You would I mean it's satirical. I I just think there's something holding it back that this comes down to the comedy, a satire is,
Yeah.
driven by how funny it actually is. But I found this film didn't commit enough to land a lot of its jokes. The reason why I think the
Hmm.
satire didn't work as well is that I just think that I don't know. Maybe there's just, they have full out Armageddon style space missions. I'm not saying this movie's grounded to reality, but there was something just keeping it away from that Doctor Strangelove edge
Yeah.
of understanding the kind of movie you're going for. It's Adam McKay. He addresses relatively serious topics or storylines, but he often tells them in unique ways. So
Yeah. I mean, Doctor Strangelove is the obvious comparison. Like, I remember at the time I watched rewatched Doctor Strangelove. I love Doctor Strangelove. I watch it every so often. It's like a
it's amazing.
fantastic film. It is as topical
My
today as it
all-time.
was when it came out. I think it was 68, 7.
Was it early 60s or late
Doctor
50s? That
Strangelove 64, 64.
okay.
And like
Hmm.
I said, it's as topical today as it was in 64. It's crazy. It's a very, very good movie. Um,
Pivotal satirical film, one of
yeah.
the best. So yeah.
Yeah, just talking fully about like, and we will compare to Doctor Strangelove today, but it's just like Doctor Strangelove is a film about the whole idea of profiting off war, of the underground like Nazi um scientists who like embedded themselves in the American like government and society,
Well,
like in NASA and everything. Um,
well, and of course, just mutually assured destruction is kind
yeah,
of what underlies so much
yeah,
of
the
the
whole
satire, just the inherent
Cold War,
hilarity of
yeah,
everyone killing each other. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just the whole idea of
What?
like, yeah, we are going to kill them just to show that we're like um stronger than them, but even if that means that the whole world ends, so yeah.
Yeah. Doctor Strangelove is about mutually assured destruction. What would you say that Don't Look Up is about, Sky? What
Well,
do you
climate
get the
change is
inkling?
obvious.
Really? Climate change? God damn it.
It's very
Yes,
clearly about
climate
climate
change.
change, yeah.
I The story is, and like I said, so it's Armageddon and Deep Impact, you know.
Mhm.
There's a giant meteor and or comet that's headed towards the Earth. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna send a spaceship up with Robert Duvall or Ben Affleck or Bruce Willis. They're gonna drill into the comet. They're gonna put a nuclear bomb into the comet, blow it up, and then the Earth is gonna be saved from the impending doom of the comet hitting Earth by us putting a nuclear bomb on it and blowing it up. Um, this movie is that, but just goes at like every corner. It has the same beats, but everyone laughs at the scientist, disregards everything.
Yeah.
The mission fails because Tim Cook is in charge of it, and
What
this is
makes
one of those movies where I'm just like, I get it,
yeah.
but I do not think it is half as clever as it thinks it is.
I mean, I think that's completely fair, and I probably agree with it. I think because okay, let's get into the politics of it all. This film is satirizing the Republicans, the Republican Party, Donald Trump especially, with Meryl Streep's character, and his family, like her son, constantly saying that
The
he would
chief of
fuck her.
staff, yeah,
That if he, if she wasn't his mom, it's like Trump has made those comments about his own daughter all the time. It's very clearly a Trump uh
yeah. Her
satire.
having very blonde hair and
Mm,
constantly being dressed in red, and the cigarettes. It's a cliche that people keep doing. People did that with Homelander. It's like, hey, I did the most repugnant shit, and then I'm like, hey, your ratings went up.
yeah,
They did that with her smoking. She just does things, and people
yeah.
just love her no matter what she does.
Yeah. And it
It's
is a
obvious what they're.
product of Trump's first term. It came out in 2021, right after he lost re-election to Biden. And it is interesting because obviously I watched it the first time right off Trump's first term, and I think at the time most people assumed that the world would never get as bad as it did. Um, 5 years on, because watching in 2026 during Trump's second term, I liked it a lot more because I was like, oh, this film isn't actually that exaggerated. It is actually very realistic. I could see all of this happening with Trump. Just the whole
Well,
idea
I
of like
mean,
there's a comet that's gonna hit Earth, and Trump is like, no, we're gonna try to like get all the possible profit off it instead of actually like guaranteeing safety
Skye.
completely in character form.
We haven't talked about this really on the podcast that much, but I do not like damn near every Trump parody, and the
You've
reason why is
mentioned
like
it.
it's not hard to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many better parodies or better characters or real life people to equate to, but anyone can
Mm-hmm.
do Trump. Anyone can just do someone does some insane thing, but then they blame it on someone else, or they just all pretend like it was part of the plan. I,
Yeah,
I, I
I
don't
completely
know.
get that, and I think what we're gonna come down to is just completely like what appeals to either of us. Because this film kind of felt like a cry for help, I guess, of just like
A little
we
bit.
yeah, and I kind of appreciate that just as of like of a cathartic like this film understands how I'm feeling with the way the world is going, and I appreciate just feeling seen, but I completely understand if it's not like enjoyable or just like kind of cliche because it is. Um I don't know. I really, really
Well,
appreciate that this like it doesn't feel like a film that's like trying to like solve problems or do anything. It's just like we have the solutions. And it is true. Everything about that this film is saying is true, basically, of just like the film is um like the world is ending and that the we have all the tools to stop it but we don't because the companies and the people in charge of the government are all looking for profit, especially like Trump and Elon Musk, which there's the Peter like CEO guy in this
Peter
film.
Thiel.
Yeah.
Or oh, you mean the yeah, I named another insane.
All the time when they said his name, I was like, are they gonna call him Peter Thiel? But like, no, he's not Peter Thiel.
I don't even think he's meant to directly compare to that, but
Yeah,
still,
but he's called
Jesus.
Peter, and he's like a major CEO who
Yeah.
funds the GOP, which at the time it would have been more Peter Thiel than Elon Musk. But nowadays it would be like a very clear Elon Musk allegory because he basically bought the 2024 election. But anyway, even outside of that, like I appreciate that, like just watching the film and feeling seen and heard, I guess. And I find that cathartic. It might not make for the most enjoyable experience for people just looking for like a new and interesting story because I don't find it new or like super interesting. It just feels like like Adam McKay is just like, dude, I am losing my mind and I need to vent that some way, and I appreciate that. Like, I think the film is
Yeah, I
exactly what he
mean,
was going for. I don't think he like missed like the film is like failing in any way of like telling his vision. I just think maybe his vision is not super entertaining for some people, and obviously it's going to be divisive because it's a very political film, very clearly making fun and attacking the GOP. So obviously right wingers wouldn't like it, and then there's the people who just find it obnoxious, which I completely get. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it,
I
but I
mean,
completely get your criticisms. Like, it feels like the film is being like super smart and snarky about what it's making fun of, and sometimes it is, but also sometimes it can feel a bit like you roll your eyes and you're like, okay, I get it. Like, I don't know. The comedy
well,
is hit or miss for me too.
so, Jesse Armstrong is like the showrunner of Succession.
Hmm.
That wasn't necessarily Adam McKay, but he directed the first episode, and I always felt like that movie or the series because you can tell they're critical of like right wingers, but like it feels left leaning. But what it more so is just realistic. It's
Hmm.
realistic to how the world works. It's what makes Logan Roy an interesting character in that series. Just like this is just someone who kind of understands the world and use the world to profit off of it. But this movie feels more like trying to make jokes of everything,
Hmm.
trying to say, this is how real people react, and I just didn't find the film funny.
Hmm.
That was a huge problem. It just
Yeah, when I first watched it, I
if
didn't
you're
find
not
it
laughing at
funny.
this.
I At this time I didn't find it funny either, but I found it amusing. You know the difference?
Yeah, I there were a couple of moments that really hit because a
Hmm.
lot of them I was rolling my eyes. Some of them were like, yeah, that great job with that.
Yeah.
And there are some great jokes in here. My God, the Sting anecdote from the character who plays Turk from Daredevil, that
Mm.
was so funny.
Yeah.
I biggest laugh of the movie. Some of them really hit hard, but
But like, there's the
yeah.
joke about the like army guy who sold them the water bottle and the
Yeah, he's like a three-star general, I
yeah,
think, but he says that you have to pay for the snacks, but all the snacks are
and he got like
free.
what $30 out of it.
It was a decent fit, like, it'd be enough to stack your wallet for the
Yeah, and it's
week.
just like
I
Kate is just like completely befuddled and she keeps mentioning it throughout the whole film. I thought that was cute.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I joked about that at the very beginning, but it's like, "What's this movie about?" I'm like, "Well, it's about climate change,"
Mhm.
'cause, like, you have Deep Impact, you have Armageddon's plot of, like, world is gonna end if we don't stop this comet/asteroid. So, what's the Oscar scenes of this film? It's when they get on the news,
Yeah,
and the news is, downplaying the significance of the event
and trying
and
to make jokes of
acting
it.
like everything's fine. And yeah, they put the air out of the room, and then you have both of the main characters who freak out at different points in the
Hmm.
film and just are like, why can't you just hear us when we're saying that the world's gonna fucking
Yeah.
end? But
And I mean,
that's not.
it's an interesting thing because obviously, like we said, it is about climate change. I think that's obvious. Um, but I think it's interesting to be like, we are already dealing with climate change, but what if there was something even more urgent? And
Well,
even more profitable for these big companies and the government. Um, and that's how it like creates the satire, is it exaggerating the situation, because the situation is inherently like dire, but you can't really make a movie about climate change unless it spans like decades and a lot of boardroom politics and very, and so
I
you
mean,
need to condense it to make a film. So it's what the
that
movie
is kind
does.
of an interesting way of looking at it, like Armageddon or Deep Impact. If the characters could have a profit, those what's the theme of those stories is about like humanity coming together to
Mm.
solve. There's so many movies about that, humanity
Yeah, like
coming together to
Sunshine.
find a
Yeah.
solution to this problem that could destroy the world. But this movie's like, no, humanity wouldn't do that. Humanity would just lie to each other and not give a shit and not do enough. And
And I mean, I agree. That's probably what it would do.
Yeah, and it's easy to interpret this film as cynical. I'd say that it's hard to not look at it that way,
Oh yeah.
save for a couple of things.
I do
I
think it
I do
appreciates
laugh.
the whole thing about like humanity of just like finding meaning in this apocalypse. Like at least we enjoy what we have because it's the only thing we can do when the people in charge just want to ruin the world for profit. So like it finds a
Well,
little hope at the end. Like I really like that dinner scene at the end. I don't know.
yeah, I knew of that. It's funny. I actually watched that scene before I'd seen it, like
A lot of
on
people
YouTube. It
comment
was
about the editing in that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we haven't even talked about the editing yet. Oh my God, Skye. Um, but the ending is pretty solid for nailing home the ending note of the film. It actually
Hmm.
reminded me because we've covered end of the world movies with Melancholia
Yeah.
and Leave the World Behind. Um, felt similar to that of a vibe of
It
sticking
did
together
feel
as
a little bit
people
like
and that.
Melancholia. Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea who. Because I remember I'd seen the ending out of context. I'm like, what's Timothy Chalamet doing there? Like,
Hmm.
what's his role? Like straight up, she just kind of hung out with him or like
She
bumped
just
into
finds
him at
someone
the
who does
Not
like,
Bevmo, and
yeah.
yeah,
She just finds someone who doesn't
he's
care about anything and is like, I mean, we may as well get together because the world's ending anyway, so let's just have some fun. And like he completely falls in love with her because she's like so cool and like otherworldly. And I found that cute, like Timothy Chalamet's character and the fact that he's religious and that she finds it like endearing that he's religious. Like all of that I actually found really touching in a way that I wasn't expecting. I was like, okay, weird subplot, but like I kind of like it.
yeah, it works surprisingly well. I was blown away at just how little he was in this movie because this was the same time as
Yeah.
Dune, which
I mean,
which
so
by
many
the
big
way
stars.
won. Yeah. Rest assured that Dune won Best Editing. It wasn't this movie, it was Dune.
So you didn't
Okay,
like the
let,
editing.
let, us let's fucking talk about it. The scene that I always remember Shea Frillis Productions criticized this one edit with that actor who plays Turk
Where it just
when he
freezes
is
on him like
talking.
eating.
He is speaking while they're talking at the dinner table, and then while he's still talking, they cut to him taking a bite of his food, and then it stops on a freeze frame.
Yeah. The
And
thing
it's
is,
it's
right, that type of editing is throughout the whole film, but because they use the same shot they've been using before, it feels like an editing mistake. Like, it actually completely makes sense when you think about what they're trying to do, but they use the exact same shot they used before, and you're like, wait, did we did they use the wrong shot, the wrong cut? And yeah, it's really odd.
well, there's another cut. I mean, there's a bunch of them. They kind of go by you. If I had to pin it down in terms of like a simple way to put it, I would say that there's a lot of unnecessary insert shots
Mm,
or shot. There's a really weird shot where the shot literally racks focus too quickly. It has focus in the background, then it racks to the character, and then it racks back, but it's jarring. You'd have to see it to understand what I'm talking about, but I'm like, it's that
when is
classic.
that?
There's one character, and then hold on, let me. I am rolling it back now. Let me see if I can find it. It's where the characters are in kind of the control room. I think it's when they're checking through the launch, but
Hmm.
they
I
jump
think I
between two
remember
characters
that.
way too quickly. And then there's another one which is just funny that I noted where um by the way, is his name? Hold on. It's Rob Morgan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really good. Yeah, he plays Teddy Oglethorpe.
Oglethorpe, I
Um,
think, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
Jonah
keep
Hill's
calling
character.
him Turk from Daredevil, and he's
Yeah,
also
he.
the
Oh my
cop
god.
from Stranger Things.
Yeah. Actor's name is Rob Morgan. He's great. I will
Very
always
good
remember him as
character
Turk
actor,
Barrett from
yeah.
Daredevil. So funny, so great. He's amazing in this movie. Really good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, there's there's a moment when they realize that their independent plan to stop the comet has failed. And when they get that news, there's this shot. It's that whole character listening in the background. But Jennifer Lawrence's character, she takes out one of her headphones. And then later on, after he's going to break the news, she takes out another headphone. Actually, oh my God. I'm looking at it now. She did it 3 times.
Oh my
She,
god.
she did it once, and then she did it in the background, and she's going to take it out again as I'm looking at it now. Yeah. Yeah, it's somehow back.
I did not
Oh
notice
my-
that. That's funny.
yeah. This is the thing. These kinds of edits, they're not that big of a deal. These things happen all the time in movies. It's just what Shea Frills Productions was talking about, and what I was hearing is that this movie was nominated for Best Editing.
Yeah.
And it's like, why, of all movies, you could
It's
nominate
because it has
anything?
the most
Y-
editing. That is the whole thing that we learned from Bohemian Rhapsody. The film wins that has the most editing, not the best editing one. Yeah.
Well, and this is the thing is another thing I'd heard about this film in comparison to Adam McKay is, The Big Short. People have said that that film feels almost like an essay movie.
Yeah.
There's animations, there's text on screen and the like. This
It's
movie
literally Margot
tries to.
Robbie explaining concepts to you in a bathtub.
Well, this is the thing about that. That movie doesn't give a shit enough to do that. They never pretend like it's a biopic. They act like it's some form of fantasy or just a story being told about the recession.
Hmm.
Something about this is holding it back, but the colorful use, like the opening titles, they're all these different unique colors, and then there's occasional text on screen. There's some voiceover narration, but I feel like they would have been better served without any of that. I feel like this movie would have worked better had they not relied on, some of those more out there editing choices. But
Maybe. I don't know, because I
d-
did feel like it helped a little bit of the film feel like it was passing by faster, just the whole cutting and like and a lot of the what this film does with the editing is just like abrupt like smash cuts of just like cutting away from dialogue in the
yeah,
middle of sentences because you get the idea already and it helps in terms of like a joke because you're like, oh, I already know what this character is going to say, so you cut away, or you cut away to the consequence of the character saying something even if you don't hear the end of it. um so I don't know. I think it's a lot of the times it helped, as well, but I completely understand the frustration because sometimes the editing can feel a little too much or jarring. And there's a lot of like insert shots, like you said, that feel a little out of place.
yeah, it's hard to describe. I would have to pick out some of the most egregious examples and break them all down, but there are just the strangest choices in this film. I don't know. I In terms of its satirical value, I just the comedy's going to be hit or miss for you. Like you said, if you're a
Hmm.
right winger, you're probably going to find this movie pretty frustrating. I definitely fall into that just irritation where I'm not laughing on either side. I'm like, politics notwithstanding, I just don't find the concept or the execution all that funny. Some elements work well. I think one of the best satirical elements is when they literally just abort their Armageddon mission because they can use the comet for the
Mm.
sake of turning a profit. Like that sense of going for it, I wish that more of this movie had leaned into that. But even that just it doesn't it's not enough, at least for me, and it's just your mileage may vary. You find it funny, but yeah, something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I completely get it. And like I said, I don't find it funny. I find it amusing. So like, yeah, I just the whole acknowledgement of like, yes, I have seen this exact behavior from politicians, from Trump, from Elon Musk, from his whole fucking family, from JD Vance, from all of these people, Peter Thiel, and so I get it. Um, and I find it
Well, I swear to
amusing.
God, Jonah Hill's character was kind of too real. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, this is just someone who has failed upwards and kind of just pulled all the right cards out of the deck.
like a
Like,
Ted Cruz
there's
type of
far too many.
character. Yeah.
Not to mention all the Supreme Court justice thing, that is so funny from my perspective, considering the Supreme Court justices just look some of them up, and when you go through their resumes that senators pick apart, you're just like, "How did you get here?" Yeah,
Well, they make that joke as
I
well
I
that the,
won't
the
lie.
the fucking head of NASA is an anesthesiologist. You're like, I thought that was
Yeah,
really
I
funny because that is, I mean, it's the fucking RFK Jr., right? He's the head of this the
Health
health
and Human
department.
Services, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's that yeah, he literally is an anti-vaxxer, and he's
running the health department. It's uh,
what can you do?
and it's like, yeah, I mean, at some points, real life is funnier than parody. So yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'll get many we're it feels like this is of the era of, you know, parodying early COVID
Mm,
times of like we're gonna get so many parodies of parodies in the
yeah.
coming years. So
You haven't seen
yeah.
Eddington, right?
I was I'm half tempted to recommend that next, but I know I've heard so many people say that's a really interesting post-COVID commentary.
I
So
really like it, but it does feel like Don't Look Up in a sense of just like the same idea of um parodying and satirizing, but it is more COVID focused because I think it takes place exactly in 2021, and the characters talk about like wearing masks and not wearing masks. Like COVID is like a
yeah,
major
yeah.
plot point, and I know a lot of people like don't like stories that are about COVID, um, which I kind of get. It's just like
I just
it
I
kind of
just feel
like
like I haven't seen the first great one, you know?
mm,
What's that COVID movie that just nails the tone, nails the themes?
I think we're too
Eddington is
close
kind of
to it to really know how to properly like
I think
make a
so
film about
too.
it. But I think Addington
There
is really
were
good. But yeah, I don't know.
there was one Anne Hathaway movie that had like that was right around the same time that like mainly talked about like the Zoom thing. There were a couple of movies that talked about that, just people being locked inside, but the proper COVID commentary movie that's about like kind of what it did to the world, what it did to
Hmm.
people, like that. I think we're still waiting on that. So
Yeah, I think Addington's the closest, just because it is very much during the pandemic. Talking about something post-pandemic is interesting that I don't think we've had the whole depression and isolation of all of it all. Um, I think most of the stories that talk about, and it's interesting because we've had a lot of like stories about depression and isolation since then. I mean, even the MCU, the last two films, like Thunderbolts and Spider-Man Brand New Day, are literally about
yeah,
isolation and depression. So
isolation. Yeah, exactly.
it feels like we're
Thematically, we're
heading,
there.
yeah,
We
I
just
feel like we're heading in a
yeah.
way that a lot of stories are about that isolation post-COVID, about that isolation that happened because of COVID. So I don't know. That was a massive tangent. Anyway, um, it does feel like of its time. Don't Look Up very much. But it also feels like it kind of predicted what would happen when Trump was reelected. really well. So I'm kind of like mesmerized of just like this feels very realistic in a way that satire shouldn't feel realistic, you know?
Yeah, I see the timeliness of it. It's just it's one of those things where like no matter how well a film predicts the future or how relevant its message or its moral
Hmm.
is, it comes down to entertainment with movies. And my big takeaway with this is I just did not find it that funny. Had I found it more entertaining, there were a couple of jokes and a couple of moments that really hit,
Hmm.
but I did feel there was something holding it back from that Doctor Strange love level of just committing to the premise, committing to
Hmm.
the bit a little more.
I
Because
mean,
the ending, the whole
there is
dinner
not
scene,
a
that's really
scene
solid,
that is as
but
good as the scientists doing the Zeke Heil, like trying to hide
no,
it while explaining the whole plan of keep selecting humans who would survive the extinction level event. That scene is just like
we
too amazing, and there is
we
not
got to
a
get
scene
to
like
that
that.
one day. That's like on both of our lists of
Yeah,
one of the best. I
just
absolutely love that
one
movie.
of the best films of all time. And it's interesting because I saw a tweet recently because did you hear about the Digger, the Tom Cruise in Yari 2 movie?
What about it? Yeah, I know of it, of course, but
Did you see the trailer?
yeah.
The story clearly is Doctor Strangelove again. um and
Oh,
I saw someone on Twitter being like, every filmmaker at some point in their career feels like they can do Doctor Strangelove, and they need to like not give in to that like idea of that thought. And I thought that was funny. And I was just while I was watching Don't Look Up, that tweet came into mind because I was like, yeah, I don't know if Adam McKay can pull off Doctor Strangelove because like it's good. I like Don't Look Up quite a bit. I was surprised how much I liked it, but it is not on that level. And I think the ending kind of feels underwhelming because it does exactly what you expect. The the rich people fuck up. They can't extract the minerals and destroy the comet. Earth ends. They build a ship, go to a different planet with 22,000 years later. Um, to save
well,
themselves. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of what you expect. You kind of expected something more clever, but it is kind of like
well, and
very
that's
much what you expect, which is kind of underwhelming, I think.
well, and that's why I didn't laugh at a lot of the jokes earlier in the movies that were made at those characters' expenses, because I was just like, well, when it's all said and done, everyone's just kind of going to freak out and then for like 20 minutes and die, right? I guess if you're expecting that and it's funny when it comes, it's fine. But I wasn't surprised by the ending because I was
Mhm.
like, what's the ending? I'm like, well, it's the characters that we've known and followed and loved and who tried to help. They get this ending where they hold hand in hand and are satisfied, and everyone else just freaks out and dies or goes to an alien world. It, yeah, I don't know. A lot of the payoffs are a bit on the obvious side.
Mhm. Yeah,
Some
I
of
would
it's
say the
relevant,
last like 20
especially.
minutes feels very predictable in a bad way. I don't like using predictable as a criticism usually, but like it feels predictable in a bad way
I
because
know
you're
what you're.
expecting
Yeah,
something cleverer because the film has been hinting that it is so much smarter than the people with satirizing, so you expect something funnier. But it's very like exactly what you expect. And then there's like Jonah Hill surviving and like trying to stream from his phone. And you're like, that's funny. Like I don't know. I thought the joke was kind of cringe because it's like I don't know. It was like very obvious, like, oh, the character's dumb, and so he's streaming. Like it didn't feel like it achieved anything. So, yeah.
I didn't. Oh my god, I actually did not know about that. So you just
Oh yeah, there's
highlighted that
two
there.
post-credit scenes. Yeah,
That's the fucking Marvel end credit sequence of the Jesus. Wow. I saw the first post credit scene, not the second one.
yeah. The first is
Jesus,
like
Adam, you should direct a
actually,
Marvel movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So, Evan, I think the question ultimately, as always, is Would you recommend Don't Look Up?
Yeah, I would not. I didn't watch this movie because of what I'd heard, and having seen it now, it's pretty much what I figured it would be.
Hmm.
I don't It sucks because I don't wanna act like this movie's bottom of the barrel trash. It's just so much holds it back to the
Hmm.
degree that I don't imagine myself rewatching this anytime soon. Y You're probably if you watch this movie, I would just keep an eye out for if you find it entertaining or funny. If you do, it's probably gonna work consistently. If you don't,
Yeah,
you might be more annoyed than anything else. Yeah.
I think that's a very fair assessment. Yeah, I would recommend it. I actually think. I mean, you know, I mean, I don't know. I very much doubt there are many Republicans watching our content, but if there are, I doubt you would enjoy this film. um,
Probably not gonna lie to you.
yeah, I think we're a bit too woke
No
for that.
shade.
Um, but I am. I think if you need just like a vent, just like a way to vent, to feel like, yes, I feel understood and I understand how awful things have gotten and how much it's hard to deal with all that like hopelessness. This film feels kind of like cathartic in that sense, even if it also feels kind of like feeding the hopelessness, which not also like the greatest, I guess, way to deal um with this feeling. And but I don't know, I would recommend it, and I think it is like clever, just not as clever as it thinks it is. And I did find it amusing, if not like super funny. Like you said, there's like a few like great jokes, but it is not as good as the Big Short, and I think that's like a given. That film is amazing, but yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it way more on rewatch, so I would recommend it.
Kind of a sticking point. A lot of directors unfortunately get caught up with that, like it's not as good as the
The
best thing they
best thing,
made
yeah.
early in their career. So, yeah, Adam McKay's doing fine, but
I think
yeah.
it's like within Yaruto or with The Revenant, where it's just like, yeah, it's not as good as Birdman. It's just like, yeah, it was never gonna be.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, Evan, I think it's time that you recommend something.
Indeed, it is. Um, Fuck it. I'll go with it. I got a double feature.
Mm.
Especially if you have not watched the original. Uh, three guesses for what's the greatest film of all time.
Greatest film of all time with a sequel. The Godfather?
Right there. I've seen The Godfather once years ago in a film class.
Mm.
Like talk about the most pretentious way that you could watch that film ever. Like a film 101 type class. Never rewatched it. Loved it, and I've heard The Godfather Part 2 is also great, but I haven't seen it and I know pretty much nothing about it.
Hmm.
So I'm going with Godfather double feature. Have you not seen the original
I
Godfather?
have seen the first one, but it was like
You
I saw
have.
the first one years ago. I don't remember much. I remember not loving it, and I didn't really know why. And I think I was too young to understand the nuances of all the writing and what the film was going for. So I'm curious to rewatch it.
Uh,
I will also watch 2 and 3 because the Coda cut or
I,
whatever it's called, I have it downloaded, and I've heard it's actually really good. And
that's the
different from.
interesting. I didn't. I don't want to go for a three to slap the entire. But I know how you work. You're going to be one of those. I've heard people say three's actually pretty good. I know people are like, no, it's
Yeah,
awful. You're like only watch one and two. Three doesn't exist. But I've heard
yeah,
it maybe gets. How can you help it?
yeah,
People are like the first film is the greatest film of all
yeah.
time. Two is the greatest sequel of all time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
3, there's the recent like Coda cut or whatever, that everyone says it's like fixes all the issues. And it feels more in line with the vision that Coppola had, so I'm very curious to watch that too. So yeah, I'll watch all 3.
All right, that's the assignment then, The Godfather. I'll try to watch all 3 as well. I
Mm,
definitely wanna rewatch the first if I can help it. I'll try to get an early start because, like I said, I only watched it the one time. I'm pretty familiar with the story, but just haven't checked it out again, so
yeah. No, that's a good recommendation. I've been meaning to watch that trilogy, so yeah. All right then, folks. I guess we'll catch you next week for the Godfather trilogy. And very much thank you for watching. Thank you for your support over these 3 years, and here's to three more.
yeah.
um,
My
talking
god,
about
how
movies.
crazy, 100 episodes, 100
100
episodes. Thank you
episodes.
anyone who watches, likes us talking about this. It's great. I'm glad that we can do this and that other people have fun with it, so
I said, I said thank you for 3 years. It's 2 years. I meant
yeah,
this
we're
is our
on the
third
third. We're
year. Yeah,
getting there,
yeah.
getting there, getting
When do we get to 150? Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. We'll catch you next time. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.